Hello everybody, good morning. It is a frosty pumpkin morning. Steve and I camped down here at Persimmon South last night and it got down to about 25, and so we stayed toasty in our backpacking sleeping bags, but that means we never want to get out of the sleeping bags. So we eventually did, and there is so much hubbub happening here. This is our 10.2 acre restoration project in Highland County, Ohio. There's already so many great plants here, and we're going to add in a lot of diversity and deal with the weeds that are also quite abundant here. We are going to move a $4,400 1970 Streamline Countess right here. And that is going to be what we will live out of when we're down here. We are not getting rid of our Morrow County restoration project. So I don't know what that was. That's been happening. I think maybe there's a quarry near here. We are working on these two properties. And so what is happening here is we're adding a spot to put that Countess, and we're making the driveway in here better. It was just quite a slope and pretty awkward. And we found a really great guy who is actually related to the guy that moved the cabin out of here that was sitting there. I'll link to that video at the end of this one if you didn't catch it before, because it's pretty remarkable the way they move these things. I'm hearing whipping of towhees. We're about maybe a zone warmer here, or at least half a zone, and so the bird singing is very different, and there are a lot of vultures flying around here. And up in Morrow County, it is not happening yet, so it's exciting to be moving into a little bit warmer area for part of the year. We'll be back and forth a lot, so I just wanted to give you a glimpse. Our property line is right over there. You can see where the mowed area starts. That's our neighbors. This is our shed. That's where we camped last night. We're real close to the road, which is our norm, as you all know. And that's okay, because we really like to impact the property the least amount possible. Let's take a look. We're going to go right over here to an area where Steve and I are working. The guy that we found is doing all of this earth moving and stone moving with his bobcat, and it's incredible. Steve and I do almost everything by hand because we don't use a lot of equipment enough to warrant having it, and then the maintenance. And so when you see a piece of equipment doing stuff really quick, like, it's so exciting. There were these telephone poles that were actually in the last area I was showing you, but they were over here, and Steve and I are like, how are we gonna move these? And he just loaded them right up into his bucket and took them over there. Pretty fantastic. We have a friend down here who's also doing work. There was a dilapidated, maybe horse building here, I'm not quite sure, but it has been falling down. It's the last of the animal shelters that we needed to take apart, so that's really thrilling. And then this area here will remain meadow, and we've talked about it in one or two of our other videos. We planted a bunch of persimmons at the base, of course. Now, one thing that's really cool is repurposing that we're doing, because minimizing labor so that we can do more is always something that we're looking for. And there was a pasture fence around this whole thing, around this big meadow, because this was a pasture for something. And we, with our friend, have left the T-posts in place. There's also some wooden posts, and our friend is actually cutting all of this fence up and making tree cages. And we are going to, in this area, add in shrubs and persimmons. There's a lot of weeds in this thicket zone, so we will need to manage them, and this is a great opportunity to add in some diversity. I know we're going to get some sun glare, so I hope you can still see. Down there is a stream, and we're going to be working on that, just like Morrow County. There is some major problems happening upstream of us, and it is incising the creek like crazy. So last night I stepped in what I thought was sand, and because so much sediment had moved very recently from upstream, I just went in. And I went into 6 inches, and I jumped out really fast. I probably would have went down feet. It was an adventure. Okay, so that pasture fence continues along the base there, and you can see a couple of the other telephone poles. That guy that's working for us moved those down there so they're not laying in the middle of this meadow where they were. So that's really awesome. Down there we have more of the fencing, and we are going to plant probably a lot of willows and some others that love wetter soils. And then along the east side, which is where I'm looking, more cages, and we'll put in a lot of new shrubs. Here you can see the road, you can hear the birds, no insects yet. And then I'll just turn back around here. This is only the teeniest glimpse of this land, of course. I almost fell over because it goes up the hillside over there. So we'll look at more of that later, but we're so excited to be returning diversity to a piece of land that is in amazing condition in certain ways, but also has been really beat up over the years and then got split up into all these tracts. So we have 10.2, like I said, and this is just encouragement to all of you that are like, I want to do that. Keep watching for those areas that maybe are not quite on the radar yet, or folks really want to unload the land, and then maybe you can grab some land too. We couldn't pay for this outright, so we took a loan on it, and we are making double payments really frequently so that we can pay it down quickly, or more quick anyways, so that also those double payments, it's all principal, and then that's exciting because then you see that you're paying more and more on principal, which is always what you want to do, not the interest. So you can do it. And then this area, of course, is where the Arc of Appalachia is, and we get to hike in these amazing preserves just around the corner from us. And they will take this land when we leave it to them, whether that's at the end of our life or whenever that is, and we'll have done the work that is so necessary for these groups that keep buying and protecting lands but can't buy everything because there's just not enough money to do that. And so these tracts that have had a harder time and aren't pristine by any measure are not purchased because there's not enough money to do that. They have to focus on buying the nicer ones, and we can't afford the nicer ones, so it's a win-win because restoration is just so dang satisfying. Okay, I gotta get back to drinking a little more coffee. The guys have run to get some stone, and then I'm gonna get back to work moving some of these cages, picking up trash. There's innumerable opportunities for labor. And I actually love it. I love working outside, and I know most of you do too. We'll share more of this property with you as we go. And I know the past couple times I've just showed you this area, and that's because we haven't cut a trail in yet. So once we do into the woodlands, we'll start showing that as well. Steve's spreading some native wildflower seeds we have. We smooth this out with a rake as best as we can. You can see the soil's a little unhappy. This is compaction from equipment, and it happens so fast. It's sort of astonishing. So we're going to put these seeds on, and then we're going to cover it with straw. There's a bit of a hill here, so we're going to protect this soil as best we can from the pummeling rain that you know is going to come very soon. Okay, we're done. It's been a big day. Steve and I were working the whole time. Our guy was working too. But check it out. We've got some stone in here for the camper. And Steve made us a little picnic pad for a picnic table. There's a lot of soil yet that needs to dry out and be raked out. And then we have a lot of planting to do. We had 4 bales of straw, which is not quite enough, but we're hoping that luck is in our favor and the rain is soft and the wind is not super strong. So it's not a real big drive, even though it kind of looks like it in this picture. It's pretty narrow, and that's so that we can pull the camper in here. And there we go. Park it over here, look south, and I'm getting whippy, everybody. And then that'll just be where we back the truck in. Okay, that's the end of today. Now, after all this major crazy stuff, we will be able to start planting and seeding, and it will be so very exciting. And I gotta point out one thing here, because Steve and I are dreaming. Right down there is a pretty big sycamore right in the middle. And we saw bald eagles flying right over here, and we see them nest so frequently in sycamores. That one is getting on the bigger side. It's not big yet, but maybe someday they'll nest here.